This is Comedy 201. This is going to teach you how to start from absolutely nothing and get to your first beginner stand-up set. Hopefully you've watched our Comedy 101, so we have a similar language of how to view comedy, and this is the writing portion of stand-up, the first part of that. So, a lot of people ask me, William, where should I start if I want to do stand-up? There's infinite ways. Any writing prompt you could possibly imagine is viable, but what I tell people is, one, start with your absolute favorite story to tell. So anytime someone's like, oh, tell me something that happened to you once. If you have a story you've told over and over again, chances are it's already sort of workshopped. You have a very personal connection to it, and you'll just be generally good at that story. Then two, I tell people to give me an emotional rant with some caveats. So you want an emotional rant about something that everyone would have baseline knowledge of. So we're not talking about some esoteric movie from the 1920s or like a very intricate part of a very specific machine that was only in a plane in the 1940s. No. We're talking like ceiling fans, mayonnaise, grass. That's the first caveat. The next caveat is it should be something that you feel very strongly about, but that the average person would not feel strongly about. If you're like, here's my take on politics, people are going to go, oh, there's going to be danger in the air. Additionally, if you take a stance that they don't agree with, the whole set, they're going to be like, no. But if someone takes a strong stance like, I hate ceiling fans, you'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I don't really feel one way or the other, so let's let them go off. Okay, let me hear about how you hate ceiling fans. And then three, ideally, it is better to do positive emotion to prevent you pooping on something that someone absolutely loves, but that's a minor nuance. It doesn't have to be like that. So you've decided which of those two you want to write about. Where do you go from there? Well, you'll get in front of some sort of recording device, and you're just going to stream of consciousness talk for like 10 minutes straight. 10 minutes to get the raw material, which we will then refine and word economy into about a 5-minute set. So you're not trying to be funny when you do this first rant. This is like cooking. If you added salt at every single stage, by the end, blah, 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 blah. So we're just trying to give how we feel, narrative points, and as much honesty as possible. For example, if it was ceiling fans, like, oh man, I hate ceiling fans. They seem like they're absolutely everywhere. I'm so afraid if it's even wobbly just a little bit, I'm absolutely sure it's just going to guillotine my head. I'm never comfortable. Sometimes even turning them off, you don't know if it's a simple switch or if it's one of those chains. And if you pull the chain, is it going to go even faster and make it even more dangerous? Is the chain going to come out of where it's, anchored? I don't know. There's so much nerves I have around ceiling fans. Or if it's a story, one time I was at my grandma's house. She has a ceiling fan that went way too fast. I let it run on its maximum setting, and then it actually came unmoored from the ceiling and broke her favorite lamp. So just like that, stream of consciousness. Now, when you have the raw stream of consciousness, here are some simple tricks to add comedy to anything. I've given these to people to add comedy to business presentations or similar, otherwise bland technical speeches, etc. But we're going to add these to our baseline rant or story. Number one, any adjective or adverb, but it works better for adjectives, you can punch up into jokes in 3 sort of different easy ways. Number one is the classic trope of, how blank is it? For example, my house is so big. How big is it? It's so big that my roommates are elephants. Ha ha ha. It's so big that your mom can almost fit inside. Oh ho ho. Hee hee hee. The second trope is sort of like a film noir. You're going to go with some exaggerated personality and poetic language around the thing. For example, her legs were so long, they went all the way from her waist down to the floor and all the way into my heart, etc., etc. So personality and sort of exaggerating what that adjective is. Or you can sort of get southern folksy with it. And these are my favorite, being from Savannah. And you can get absolutely weird with these. For example, like, it was hotter than a frog's fart in the middle of June. Right? Those you can really experiment with and push what the audience will like allow or might confuse them so much. But be careful, but I think those are fun. So that's any adjective or adverb you already have a way to add comedy to. Well, what about nouns? So nouns, if it is a person or a place, oh boy, there's this fun trope we can do where this is like that, except something. So the people in your life, your best friend, the places in your life, your house, audiences is not going to know about them. They're going to need to be taught. And an easy way to do that is comparing it to something they do know, and then you can get a free joke by saying like a but or some sort of exception. For example, the comedy club I work at, it's like Disneyland if everyone was on antidepressants. Oh, ha, 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 ha. So now you get an idea where I work is a fun, magical place, but here's this nuance that can get a joke. Or example, if it's a person, you can do that. You can also do like they're the type of person who would, it's like, my best friend's the type of person who would send you a birthday present for forgetting your birthday. Example. Classic joke structures that can work mostly on people or places, but they can also work on shoes. Shoes. They're like the floor, except you carry them around with you, right? Do that for almost any noun. Then additionally, there's something called invocation, which is actually a long form improv opener, but all of the improv openers for sets are just writing prompts. They're just ways to generate material. And what's stand-up? Oh, stand-up is writing. So the way an invocation works is you take any noun and we're sort of doing a ritual as if we are invoking the gods and becoming their avatar for it. It starts at the most baseline level by saying it is and physical descriptions. So if it's a coffee cup, it is round. It is blue. It has a handle. Then the second stage is you're going to say you are as if you're talking to a personal friend that is this object. So coffee cup, you're always there for me in the morning. You're what gets me out of bed. The next stage is going to be thou art, as if you're speaking to a god or the concept of an idea, like thou art the container of energy. Thou art everywhere, yet nowhere when I need you. And then finally, you're going to say I am, as if you become the avatar for this concept. So it's like, I am dishwasher safe. I am pouring things inside of your mouth. I am the logo that you don't remember what it is, etc., etc. Okay, so why did we do all of that on a noun? Well, if we want to do a tag run, like, the other day, I was grabbing my coffee cup. Coffee cup, round, has a handle. It wakes you up in the morning. It's everywhere when you don't need it, but nowhere when you do. I have a natural tag run of 3 to go simple to more complex. There's also truer statements of like the only reason I get out of bed in the morning is my coffee cup. I've generated those from that invocation, and so that you can sort of pick and choose how you use all the material that you've generated with an invocation. And those are tricks for any noun. Nouns, those things that will be, I promise, in any story or rant that you tell. Then sort of finally, to get all the parts of speech out of the way, verbs. This is more a performance note than it is a writing note, but you do need to sort of put a placeholder in it, in the writing section. Anytime you have a verb, that's an excuse for an act out. For example, the other day, I was running to work. Oh God, I'm so late. Oh, I didn't even have my coffee. Oh, please, bus driver, no, please don't shut the door on me. Oh, gosh. So the manifestation of how you run will both meet the audience expectations, but I doubt it's exactly what they thought you would do. So that congruity, incongruity, if you go back to our lesson 1, will usually get a laugh, and you can comment on it with true statements. For example, like, no, please, don't close the door to the bus. Oh God, I gotta get in there. Guys, I'm out of shape, right? And you can resolve what you just showed the audience with that verb. Swimming, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a very good swimmer. He says, like, I need a lifeguard when I swim, etc., etc. But it's a free act out any verb that you do. So you can pepper these across your material. You got to be careful of not using the same trick too many times in a row and not overloading it. You have to reset with honesty dollars as much as you can. And I'll explain that more in the performance side of things. And then some other random tricks that aren't part of speech based. Anytime you can say a big, bold statement, defending it as you would have to if it was a statement in court is a great way to get comedy. For example, I will never go in a room with a ceiling fan. That's a big statement. The audience might be like, never? I have questions in my head. By answering those questions, get free comedy. I would never enter a room with a ceiling fan. I don't care if it's shooting out $100 bills. It's not worth my life. What if it's a hospital? I wouldn't go into a room with a ceiling fan if that's where I needed my surgery to live. Because the chance the ceiling fan's gonna kill me is more than whatever surgery I would ever need, etc., etc. Bold statements, and then sort of trying to lawyer defend it. Additionally, we sort of hinted at it. Questions. Questions are an amazing way to mine comedy because there is an intrinsic tension in questions that, like, is this gonna be answered? Is it? Right? So one thing that's popular with questions is in a lot of TV shows and movies, they'll use a broad question and then the answer to that will be the punchline. For example, Archer, the TV show, does that a lot. It'd be like, what kind of idiot would do that? Then they cut to another scene where someone's doing that exact thing and you're like, oh, ha, 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 ha. That's the kind of idiot that would do that. You know, you'd be like, who would possibly put mustard, mayonnaise, and ketchup in their soup? Me! I would do it. That's both an emotional sort of confession to the audience, and I just simply answered a question. A wild question, and I would not. But questions are so easy to force into any story or rant that having them at your disposal and looking out for them, is it a great way to do comedy? It is. And then another easy trick that you can use, lists. Lists are great because there's an inherent structure about them that we all know. We're used to them. And we can break that in multiple ways. For example, there's the meta pattern of the actual list itself. Like, one, we all expect lists to have multiple objects on them. End of list, right? I've broken your assumption, your tension that there will be multiple objects on that list. Additionally, you can sort of add things that sort of fit the list but aren't the normal expected things on the list. We're like, okay, funniest things in the world. There are puns, there are emotional confessions, there's your face, knock-knock jokes, chicken cross the road jokes, steal your face, etc., etc. And you can get jokes just also saying things that could very loosely fit on the list, but not as well as the most real suggestions that would fit on the list. Speaking of emotional confessions, in life, we expect people to feel certain ways about things. And we're always like, oh, I think I know this person's deal. I know how they feel. Just by confessing that to the audience, it'll validate them in those thoughts. And they're like, I did feel like he felt that way. They're like, I walked into my grandma's house and she had a 3-bean casserole. Ugh, I hate beans. Right? By acting disgusted, you think that, oh, he will hate beans. And then that can feel like a punchline. Additionally, lots of times that sort of emitting emotion is also a bold statement. So we can go right into the, I hate beans. You hate all beans? Yes, I hate all beans. Lima beans, kidney beans, human beans, right? And then that's the list. Oh, see how you can stack these on top of each other? It's more complex, but I want to start to hint at how these can be used together to make even stronger jokes. And then finally, this one's a little bit trickier, but there are finding statements that are truths that the audience might not hear spoken aloud that much. Like trying to put your finger on the zeitgeist of something. It's hard. And if the audience doesn't feel the way you're assuming they feel, it falls apart. But for example, I'm doing a bit right now where I talk about taking baths in New York. I'm like, who takes a bath? Usually no one's like, I'm like, exactly. Anyone who takes a bath in New York is either the cleanest or more usually the most disgusting. Baths in New York are basically toilets. It's not your number one choice for number two, but it might be your second choice for a number one. Sort of stating the truth that lots of people pee in the shower. Hoo 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 hoo. What forbidden knowledge we have now released out unto the world. Right? So those are a bunch of simple tricks. I've given you a good example of how those can stack up on top of each other. I'll be going into more complex tricks and ways to perform all these in the future lessons. Hey, if you're made it this far, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe, hit the noti bell. More videos should be popping up, and I hope that you continue your educational comedy journey with me. But if not, lots of other great places to do it. Check out more of my content. Woo! And think about these if you're watching our stand-up analysis videos.